We just watched Nobody, starring Bob Odenkirk, and boy, do Shari T and I have a lot to tell you about tonight. Welcome to another episode of Anchor's Points. I am ANCHORPETE, and I'm with my wife, Shari T. So here's the deal. I said we just watched it, but we didn't have a babysitter, right? So Shari saw it last night. I saw it just like a couple minutes ago, and now we get to compare our notes.
Yeah, we have not discussed it at all. His reaction is going to be a surprise to me.
Yes.
And vice versa.
Yeah. So can I guess what your reaction is, and then you can guess mine, and then we're going to find out?
Yeah, okay, I think you liked it.
Okay. And I think that you also liked it. I think maybe you had a couple of issues with it, but I think that you liked it.
Okay.
So guys, guess what? I know that this is in theaters right now, and not everyone's able to get to theaters. So we're going to start off with a non-spoiler review, and then we will go into spoilers. We'll give you a warning when those spoilers are about to pop out. Okay? So anyway, this movie, Shari, I thought you might find this interesting. When I was doing some research, I found out that Bob Odenkirk was the one that had the idea for this movie. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Bob Odenkirk had to deal with people breaking into his house, and he actually, the way that he handled them was he trapped them in his basement. And when the cops showed up, he wasn't satisfied with the way the cops handled the whole situation. And so he was thinking, how would I have handled that situation if I was like a real badass? So he had the idea for the movie, but he didn't write it.
I was going to say, yeah, he's not the screenplay writer.
He is not the writer. And you know who is the writer? Do you know who's the writer?
No, I have to say I did very little research on this movie, which if you know me, that is telling.
Wait. It's telling that you didn't do the research?
That's right.
Wait a minute. Why? Why is it telling?
I don't research a movie I don't like.
Oh no. The movie was written by Derek Kolstad, and Derek Kolstad wrote every John Wick movie that's out so far.
I'm not surprised. This is a big John Wick ripoff.
Ooh. Okay, and then besides that,
isn't it? Maybe you wouldn't use the word ripoff, but isn't it heavily inspired by John Wick?
When we get to spoilers, I'm going to make a point about it, but it's spoilers though, okay? This guy, Derek Kolstad, also wrote episodes of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. If you want to see reviews of that, you can turn on this channel on Fridays at 9 p.m. Central. But besides that, it was directed by Ilya Naishuller.
I bet that is not the director of John Wick.
That is not the director of John Wick. But this is the guy that directed Hardcore Henry. He wrote and directed Hardcore Henry, and that is an action movie that's pretty much filmed as if you're in the perspective of the person doing the action. Like you're in nobody's body and you're watching it. Like John Wick's body. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's get to this movie. So you're saying you didn't like it?
I'm saying I didn't like it, yeah. Oh. I'm not saying that there aren't some things I liked. There are, but I mean, if it's like yes or no, I have to say no.
Oh, Shari, I was going to say a big yes. I was going to say that we need more movies like this. I was going to say, as a guy that loves superhero movies, stop making superhero movies. Make more movies like this. This is what we need.
Okay, so what did you like about the movie?
Okay, I can tell you exactly what I liked about it. Like John Wick, like the Bourne movies, there's like super intricate fight scenes and like action sequences where it's not just like a guy comes in, punches someone or shoots them, and then we move on. It's like, he's punching somebody and he's falling backwards and he's stabbing a guy behind him and he's wrapping another guy's arm around. I love that shit.
Yeah, it's very choreographed fight scenes, and the fight scenes involve the main character who has to be resourceful. He rarely has a gun, and I do really enjoy the resourceful aspect of what weapon, what is around me that I can use as a weapon. And to me, the standout in this movie is the bus scene.
Oh, yeah.
Which they kind of give away a lot of it in the trailer, I think. But it goes on for a lot longer, and it's more creative and more gruesome in the movie, of course. And I really enjoyed that scene.
So here's my question. You saw it in a theater just like I did. What was your audience like during this movie?
They were very well behaved and quiet.
Oh. Wow, our experiences are like so different.
So I saw it on Friday night, opening night, 7:50 p.m. I was expecting a rowdy theater, but it wasn't. It wasn't like that.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, right? I saw it, and there weren't a lot of people in it, I guess maybe because of COVID. We live in Texas, which is kind of weird, like it's already kind of opened up here. But there were people kind of talking throughout it. There was one guy that was like real excited, and he would like kind of announce things when they were happening. You know, there was even with the trailers, I was like, oh crap, he's gonna be talking the whole movie. Like there was this commercial that had like Pinocchio in it. He's like, oh, Pinocchio. He just said that real loud. I was like, oh, okay, cool. You're gonna like narrate the movie, you know. And then when the Mortal Kombat trailer came on, he's like, oh, it's Mortal Kombat.
It sounds like he was enthusiastic and excited by things he saw.
Just like me. And the thing is, though, is that like they like laughed like crazy when there was like this violence, and they'd be like, oh shit. And at one point, he's like, this part's going to be like Grand Theft Auto, you know? And I was like, oh, my God, you know? And
I'm not familiar. Was it like Grand Theft Auto?
I don't know. I don't play that shit. But, like, it was violent, the part that he was talking about.
And the whole movie's violent.
Yeah, but...
By the way, this whole movie is extremely violent and brutal.
But I actually feel like there's only a few action pieces in the whole movie. There's way more, like, continuous action in all 3 John Wick movies than in this.
I don't know. I haven't thought about that kind of comparison to John Wick,
yeah.
but I thought there was a ton of action and fighting.
There is a lot of action, but I feel like really, if you look at like the movie like a pie, maybe like 20% of the movie is action, and the rest is just everything else.
I don't think that's true.
Just another reason why I really liked it is because I just love Bob Odenkirk so much. We are huge fans of Better Call Saul, and even though he is not playing Saul in this movie, just his acting in general, his inflection, the way he says things, you just, like, it's better than watching someone else in that role. And to see him kick so much ass is real exciting to me. There's a couple of cameos that are kind of exciting throughout this movie. And besides that, I just like the stuff that was sort of in anticipation of the action. I liked little beats where he kind of talked about his past, and we see into what he actually was before his sort of suburban, boring life. So, Shari, I really want to know, like, why did you not like this movie?
I liked a lot of the things you just said. I, too, love Bob Odenkirk, and I am worried that this is going to be a hit, and that this is going to turn into a franchise, and it's going to take him away from wonderful, wonderful fare like Better Call Saul, where he's so good in it. It's such a good show. And instead of going on to make quality things like that, I'm worried he's going to make more, Nobody 2, Nobody 3. And I think that's a bummer, because I didn't think this was that worthwhile. Nothing even close to the quality of Better Call Saul. I think it's about 50% fighting and action. After a while, I got sick of seeing people get shot in the head, and I just stopped looking. Oh. Because there's a lot of that. There's a really big gunfight. I don't like gunfights. It's just... Like I said, the bus scene is much better because he has to be resourceful. It's him against like a select few, maybe 5 or 6 guys on the bus. The rest of the movie is just him against like an army of people, and I don't know. I guess I just got sick of the violence, and there wasn't that much plot.
Okay. Yes, I agree.
And I don't think that's always a bad thing. I think you could sit back. I think a lot of people are just going to sit back and have fun in this movie, and I think this movie is going to be popular, but I need more I need more for my brain. I'm sorry, I need more thought-provoking things. You know what? There's a part in the movie that I got interested in that they didn't go into, and I was like, that's a missed opportunity right there. There's another part in the movie I got kind of interested in, they didn't go into it. I thought that was a missed opportunity. Maybe if they do sequels, they can pursue some of those avenues, but I was disappointed in little hanging threads they left.
No, okay, well, you know what? We need to jump into spoilers then, because I want to know what these threads are that you were talking about. So,
okay.
So guys, if you haven't seen Nobody, why don't you turn off our episode, but make sure you come back after you finally see the movie. Okay, so Shari, what are these threads that you were talking about that you were interested in? I'm kind of curious.
Okay, so initially his home is broken into, and he lives there with his wife and 2 kids, and the home is broken into by a couple, a man and a woman, and They get away with everything, partly because Bob Odenkirk chooses to let them, because he's, what is he, like a retired FBI agent?
No.
He's an auditor for the FBI?
Not the FBI at all. No, not the FBI. He's an auditor for the CIA.
Similar?
The FBI and the CIA are kind of different. The FBI
I know they're different, but whatever.
Okay.
I'm sorry, this is the kind of thing that doesn't interest me. See, like I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care.
Okay.
And I think there are people like me who don't care, who won't care that much about that.
All right.
That little technicality. And I know there's people like you who will think that's real interesting. Okay? And so I just don't care. He's some sort of auditor, basically an assassin.
Yeah.
Like very much the same thing as John Wick.
Yes.
These people break in, but he suppressed that part of himself so that he could get married and have kids, right? And he has a story he tells, towards the end of the movie about why he made the choice to give up the life of the auditor/assassin and become this family man.
But you were talking about like scenes that you were interested in. The couple breaks in.
Couple breaks in. Yeah. They get away. Later in the movie, he decides to pursue them because he thinks they took his daughter's kitty cat bracelet, which I think the movie thinks that's supposed to be really clever and funny, and I don't. I thought it was just sort of dumb.
Okay. Well, I have something to say about that.
What?
So the little girl that has the kitty cat bracelet is our daughter. Like, it's our daughter Clementine.
But, I knew you were going to say that.
But like 3 years from now. Like, she's a little older than Clementine. And so she's so cute, and she's like, there's this one scene where he's laying on the couch, because he has marital problems with his wife, and he's laying on the couch, and I might be laying on the couch tonight after this video here.
I don't mind that. I don't mind that you liked it.
Okay. Anyway, so he says, are you scared? He says to his daughter, because she comes down in the middle of the night, and she's like, I'm not scared because you're here. Right? He just takes her on his lap.
Yeah, that was really sweet.
And I was like, that's my daughter and me.
But I know. But I knew you'd like that.
So when she's missing her kitty cat bracelet, and he thinks, they stole the bracelet. I was like, you go get them. You bring that bracelet back for your little blonde child. I was with him on that, man. And the thing is, maybe the thing that you got drawn in by was that when he finally finds these people that broke into his house, it's very clear that they were doing it out of desperation.
He ends up letting the couple who broke into their house get away, even though his son jumps in and he has a chance to disarm them and overpower them, especially since he has this prior knowledge and training. But he lets them get away because he's being a nobody, a nice guy, whatever, family man, and he doesn't want to hurt anyone. He later confesses he can see that they had no bullets in their gun, and this probably has something to do with his decision to let them get away because they weren't truly intending to harm anyone. But when he does pursue them, because of this kitty cat bracelet, which you can buy from Claire's for $6, I just want to say go get another one and chill out. He goes to their house, and it is this couple, a man and a woman. She's making dinner for him. He comes out. You get only a small glimpse of the life of this couple before Bob Odenkirk descends upon them and is really brutal and violent. He hits
the husband in the face with the gun, right? So
yeah, that bothered me right away because it was pretty ugly.
Okay, all right.
I mean, neither of them hit him like that. This family, I was kind of interested in them, and like clearly they were poor and needed money because after Bob Odenkirk starts causing them to scream and freak out, a little baby starts crying. He goes and checks in the room. And there's a baby with like a respirator on, and it's crying, and you can immediately deduce that this family probably doesn't have enough money. Their child has medical issues, and Bob Odenkirk also, comes to that conclusion and quickly hightails it and feels maybe remorse for a moment.
Yeah.
And that's all we see of it. Okay.
Right.
This moment is like important for Bob Odenkirk's character. His name's Hutch, right?
Hutch Menzel.
Right. If your name's Hutch, you're not a nobody, okay? You're probably some brute, which, he is.
Yes.
Anyway, Hutch, this is important for his character development because this moment, even though he backs off and doesn't do anything more with this couple, it awakens in him his need to
be violent?
It's not just that, right? That's not just what this movie is about.
Be a killer?
Kind of be a killer, like, take back his manhood.
Oh, yeah.
It's very much about, macho manhood, and he's been being this, like, sedate dad, husband, and it's about, no more of that shit, man. I'm gonna, like, come out, and I'm gonna drive a Mustang, is it? And
a Charger.
I'm gonna steal a Charger.
Yeah.
And it's all this thing. So anyway, that moment's important for his character because it awakens that in him.
Yeah.
However, I want to go back to the couple and learn more about them. I want them to do like a spin-off more about this couple and their issues and like why they have chosen to like rob houses and stuff.
Dude, maybe you'll get what you want. Maybe it'll be a nobody shared universe, and maybe Nobody and John Wick are in the same universe, considering it's written by the same guy.
I'm sure they could do that, but I mean,
that would be
oh my god,
incredible.
It's gonna be like Godzilla versus King Kong because they're gonna have John Wick
Nobody
versus
versus Wick. Yes.
I feel like John Wick would kill him.
Where's my ticket? Fandango? Let's go. I'm here. Let's go. I'm ready. Shari, that awakening, that scene, it's in full force on that bus that you keep talking about, right?
That's the next scene, right?
Okay, right. Here's the thing. I have to admit, I watched that bus scene like, I don't know, I was going to get a hit of like some kind of drug, or like there was adrenaline, or like I was maybe aroused. I don't know what the hell was going on, but I was just like, yes. Because there's only like 2 bits of narration throughout the whole movie, with Bob Odenkirk talking, and he says something along the lines of like, they say that God opens a door, or like when he closes one door, he opens another, or something like that. He makes that kind of line, and what happens is there's these thugs. They crash their car.
Russian thugs. Sound familiar?
Yeah. We're gonna talk about that in 1 minute. The Russian thugs go to get on this bus, right? And he's just like, he says in his narration, he's like, "Please, God, open up that door." And it just like, when he said that, I was like, oh, I was almost like salivating. And they come on the bus, and they're just like complete and utter dicks to everyone on the bus. They step on this guy's book. They kind of crowd around this one innocent girl. It's this real kind of scary scene for all the people on the bus, right? Bob Odenkirk makes the bus driver get off. He takes his gun, and you think for a split second, okay, he's gonna like point at them, but no, he makes all the bullets come out, and he's like, "I'm gonna fuck you up," and it's, oh my god, I was just so on board for that.
I was on board for that. However, I don't think the thugs had really done anything up to that point that deserved what he does to them.
Stepping on a person's book, you should just get punched in the face and stabbed and stuff for stepping on a person's book if they're just quietly reading a book on the bus.
He does way more than punch.
Oh, yes, he does.
Okay,
yes,
so,
he does.
He like puts everyone in the hospital, and it is a really good scene. I enjoyed it. I was thinking the whole time that no one had done anything really to deserve this.
Yeah.
And I think that the movie's full of that kind of thing. Like, I wanted them to be worse people before he unleashed his fury on them.
Okay.
Like, I don't feel like anyone really was that bad. I mean, except for the head, what was his name,
Julian, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Of course he was deserving, but, like, no one else really was.
Yeah, look, I have to agree with you on that one. So here you go. Tell me which movie this is. Ready? There is this badass killer who can take on anybody, but he decides to leave his profession behind and go live a quiet life, and he tries to start a family, but that is interrupted by a force, and what happens is Russian thugs come to his house and cause a disruption, and then after that he goes and he unlocks all of his weapons and stuff, and he's ready to take them on, and it turns out these Russian thugs that he took on, they're connected to a bigger Russian organization, this big crime organization. And now it's the head of that organization versus this badass. What movie is that?
We already said it's John Wick.
Exactly. It was like, almost like beat for beat, like John Wick.
Yeah, and how is this a good thing?
Well, that's what kind of the point I wanted to make, which is that I completely see what you're saying, that it is John Wick. And I guess it's okay. I mean, there's so many action movies that essentially, if you broke them down to the basic points, are the same movie, right? But it's the way that they're told. And the way that this is different from John Wick is that, first of all, John Wick and Nobody are 2 very different characters, even though they're both incredible badasses. Hutch, they really play up his kind of patheticness, his limpness, in his like throughout the beginning of the movie. They do this great kind of sequence. It's almost like an Edgar Wright kind of sequence where it's just like Monday's this, Tuesday's this, and it's just like real quick cuts of what's going on in his day.
Yeah, and it gives you a very quick idea of what his life is like. I did like that too. I thought that was creative and kind of cool.
And maybe one of the reasons why I was salivating so much and so excited about that scene was because I kind of feel like that impotent suburban man. I think it's really playing up to that, for guys like me. They're like, oh yeah, could you imagine if you were a badass? And he just, it seems like no one has respect for him. His son doesn't respect him after he doesn't, take on the robbers in his house.
Even his wife. And this is another thing. They have like these marital problems that are kind of important to his character development, but they never talk about what it is.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so there's a whole thing with that too. Like, see, that's why I thought you would have liked this movie more, because when you have an action movie, some of this, like, side stuff where, like, there's problems with the wife, it's kind of overdone or corny. I thought his interaction with his wife was, like, really good. That one scene after he has that bus fight and she's patching him up, I thought the dialogue was great. I thought the way he talked to her was great. You didn't like that?
I did like that.
Yeah.
But so much of the movie is not that.
No, I disagree. I think so much of the movie is like him being impotent and then all of a sudden he's this badass, but then he has to kind of deal with the consequences. And he, like, tells one thug his story, then when those guys break into his house later, he tells his story, and it's like, you're just kind of learning about who he is.
To me, his story was utterly predictable. I mean, I could have wrote his story without hearing him tell it, you know?
Mm.
Maybe because I've seen John Wick, you know? Or,
Yeah.
I'm just saying this, if you want originality, if you want surprises, this is not your movie.
Mm-hmm.
If you do want some sort of Walter Mitty type situation, this is your movie. And I think that is why you enjoyed it so much. And I think that's why lots of men, lots of ordinary, everyday men are going to love this. I do think it's going to be popular. And of course, it's why I could care less.
Okay. Well,
being a woman.
All right.
It's okay because I think a lot of people agree with you. I think probably more people agree with you than me.
Yeah. And we'll probably see it in the comments, too, for this one. I can see some interesting comments coming for this one.
Don't hate me.
Yeah. But anyway, just go hate the movie Lucky. That's got a lot of comments on our other video. Anyway, I bet you I know one scene that you really like, though.
Okay.
So there's this great scene where the Russian, the guy that's in charge, his antagonist, Yulian, right? He wants to know who the nobody is, who Hutch is, right? So he gets this hacker girl, and the hacker girl's looking into his file, and the hacker girl is able to blackmail a guy at the Pentagon, right? And she's like, do this or I'm going to send these photos, these crazy S&M photos to your family. So he goes and he pulls up the story, the file on the nobody, right? When he pulls it up, he sends her all the imagery. She goes up to the guy, Yulian, and she's like, I quit. You can keep the money. I'm good. And she just leaves. I thought that was great.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah. And not only that, there's another scene when he goes looking around to try to find the couple that broke into his house. And he knows one of them had a tattoo on their wrist. And so he goes to all these tattoo parlors. He goes into one, and the guys are all badass, and they're all like, we're going to jump you because you're acting like a Fed, and you're not. And then one of the guys from the military sees his tattoo that he has on his arm, and he, like, goes behind this door and, like, just locks, like, 7 locks.
Yeah, you hear...
Yeah.
That was funny, too. I did laugh at that.
Yeah, it's just the idea of, like, what he actually is. It's like, pretty much he's, like, a superhero, right? It's like that he's just, like, badass to this certain level that, like, nobody wants to mess with him.
Mm-hmm.
That even the guy, Yulian, doesn't really want to mess with him, but he has to because he hurt his family. One of the guys on the bus is the brother of Yulian.
I think 2/3 of the movie is Yulian coming to get his vengeance, and to me the movie went downhill as soon as Yulian came on. This is another thing. He's the villain. He's the main villain. It's a really lame villain.
Why do you say that?
Because he's bland and generic.
His name is Alexei Serebryakov. Alexei Serebryakov.
So they got actual Russian.
Yeah, he's a genuine Russian guy. He was actually in a show called McMafia, which was like a Russian crime show on AMC.
Okay, so what did you think stood out about him? What's memorable about that villain? And to me, any movie where the plot hinges on a villain, who the villain is super important.
Sure. So what is interesting about this character or this scenario? It's more like the plot around him versus his actual personality. Is that he is in charge of this sort of illegal Russian 401k. It's essentially like the retirement plan for Russian gangsters. When they are leaving the business, they can dip into this.
Do you remember what it was called?
I'm sorry, I can't remember. It's a Russian name. It's like the Orchov or something. Yeah, I'm sorry, Russian people. Yulian, like, he was extremely violent. He came up and he was charming and he was like singing karaoke. He sings karaoke a couple of times in this movie, and then he just like straight up like slaughters a guy with a glass, like 5 minutes later, and. I think that made him a threat. When I thought of that little blonde, little Clementine-looking girl, and I thought about this monster out there, I was worried for his family. I was worried for Bob Odenkirk's family.
Well, so is Bob Odenkirk, which is why he decides to destroy his entire army of people.
Yes. Well, okay, now here's the thing. I could talk about things that I had issues with. I thought that once we got to this point, so Bob Odenkirk takes out the people that Yulian sends after him. Right?
All of them.
And he gets beat up a little bit. He gets shot and stuff too, but he does pretty well considering like tons of thugs and assassins come after him, right?
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that I did kind of start to kind of tune out, or I didn't like so much, was when he goes and like just takes out the whole operation that's like guarding the money, and he like burns the money down.
I hate seeing money get burned.
Yeah, well, I mean, besides that.
I only want to see that in a movie if it's a sign of mental illness.
Okay. All right. Well, the Joker burned some money in The Dark Knight, right?
That's okay with me.
He's a little disturbed. But
Into the Wild.
did they burn money in that?
Yeah, because he's like doing a non-conformity to society thing.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, anyway, just that sequence I didn't really like because they do it as like a little montage. He just walks in, he's just like taking everybody out, and it just like looks really easy for him to take out this organization that's essentially like guarding millions, if not billions of dollars, right?
Yeah, and I saw this movie last night, and I can barely even remember that scene anymore because it was super generic.
Yeah, so easy. But so I didn't like that. I didn't like how easy it was for him. And then there's one other thing I had a problem with too, which is the very first scene in the movie. He's being interrogated by cops, and you can tell he's had a crazy night. He is all beaten up looking, so you're thinking, okay, this is pretty much at the end of his story. But that shows me that he didn't get killed, right? So there's not the sense of tension that, oh, he could die in this scene.
You didn't think this was that kind of movie.
Yeah, but like, let's say with like John Wick, right?
Mm-hmm.
The very first scene is like he's in a truck and it crashes, and it's after his whole big adventure and his fights and stuff,
yeah.
and he's bleeding, and then it cuts to how he got there. In this, he's healthy and he's sitting all cocky with these two cops, and it's like
it's the end of the movie.
Yeah. So I didn't like that because it killed any kind of tension. I thought it could have been that he could have died if we didn't see that scene.
Okay.
There's one other thing too. There's the cameos.
I was gonna say there is something I really liked.
So the cameos. Maybe you liked them, but I actually disliked some of the. I dislike some of the stuff that's connected to the cameos.
Okay, what?
Okay, so can you say that there's essentially 3 cameos? Maybe you don't recognize one of the guys, but there's like 3 kind of like, oh, it's him moments in the movie.
Okay, the one I really liked and was just glad they were there to like help me get through this was Christopher Lloyd as his father, because every time I see Christopher Lloyd, everything's better.
Yes.
And he does have like, he doesn't do a whole lot in this movie. I mean, he helps out his son because he's the original auditor who brought his son in, right? Mm-hmm. That's what you kind of deduce from the whole thing. There's a moment where he like kind of looks sideways at the camera and does like a little evil, gleeful smile, and I laughed out loud just out of joy of being with Christopher Lloyd, kind of on a little fun spree.
Yeah.
So I appreciated him being in the movie. I thought he made it better, although they didn't give him much to do.
Okay, so I also love that Christopher Lloyd was in this movie because anything with him is better, like you said, but they have this one sequence of the bad guys go into his nursing home, and he takes him out, and it's this great sequence, right? It's real quick.
I wouldn't say great.
All right, well,
it's a violent sequence.
Yeah, he shoots these 2 guys with a shotgun, and this one like nurse runs into the room, and he's like, "Oh, you turned on Bonanza too loud." And meanwhile, like he's got this one guy who's like dying, kind of choking to death on his lap, and the guy doesn't notice that he's there. I like that scene, but.
I kind of liked it too, but it's probably because there's Christopher Lloyd and just like the little joke of like, you think he's just this old guy watching TV and he actually just killed 2 people. I kind of like that too.
Yeah, but what I didn't like was that at the end of the movie, he shows up with the other cameo, which the RZA is in this movie. And the RZA...
And that's not a surprise because he's...
Yeah, you hear him throughout the movie, you hear his voice.
And he's also one of the top billed.
Yeah. I got to do a little shout out to the RZA because he's from Staten Island like me. Shaolin, what? He's Bob Odenkirk's brother in the movie, and what's annoying is that like the 3 of them are just mowing down, just taking out all these Russian thugs at the end of the movie, and like the RZA gets shot in the arm, Bob Odenkirk gets shot in the arm, and it's like, okay, all right, not much of a threat there, even though it's like 20 guys with machine guns, they're just taking them all out.
And honestly, you may be happy that the RZA, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because in my mind...
And there's the Jizza, too, but he wasn't in this movie.
That's his brother?
I don't think they're brothers, but they're from
they're part of the
Wu-Tang Clan.
None of them are brothers?
Some of them are probably
Something
brothers.
Something to look up. But
yes.
To me, if I was a fan of the RZA, I'd be like a little upset because I think it was a wasted cameo. Did he really get any good lines? Did I even get a good look at his face? I'm sorry, really. I don't think they did him much justice.
Okay. All right. Well, fair enough. Yeah, you're right. Like, you don't really see him that much. It is just really kind of like, oh, look who it is. He makes this little surprise at the end.
He's going to help you kill a bunch of people.
Right, and this is kind of setting up for a franchise because then it's like the 2 of them are brothers and Christopher Lloyd's their dad, and they could be in future movies because none of them die. And then there was one other cameo. I don't know. Do you know who Michael Ironside is?
Not really.
He plays Bob Odenkirk's father-in-law.
His wise father-in-law who takes the gold.
Yeah.
So, I did like the dynamics with the father-in-law and the brother-in-law. I thought that was... Okay, so, again, in the dynamics with the wife, all of that is more interesting to me than all of the, like, fucking fighting that goes on.
Okay. Well...
I did like that.
Yeah. To me, that's why I felt like it was a better movie than other action movies that I've seen, going to the movie theater in the early 2000s and stuff. There's tons of action movies, right? But I felt like this was kind of a step above. It was kind of like getting towards that John Wick territory because there was more to it. John Wick is better because it's very stylized and Keanu's awesome, and then also it has that crazy world building, right? That's so good in John Wick.
It's so good, and like I'm a big John Wick fan. That's why I'm kind of like maybe that's why I give this movie like more of a thumbs down, is because it's such a ripoff of such an interesting, good franchise.
Yeah. That
came out of nowhere. I think no one expected John Wick when it came out, and that's right. part of the beauty. Oh, I kind of want to say something about the Connie Nielsen, the husband and wife dynamic, which is kind of important in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that she is aware of his past. This is not a surprise to her.
Right.
Whereas, other similar movies like History of Violence or True Lies, when they find out their husband's some sort of super badass, they're surprised and upset. I like that she's aware.
Yeah, I did too.
I like that part, and that she's cool with it, and it adds some depth to the idea that when he lets the robbers get away and doesn't even hurt them, she kind of looks at him, and at this point you don't know she's aware, and you think she's disappointed in him, but in fact she knows what a badass he is, and she's actually thinking, why didn't you do something? While I give this a thumbs down, it's not like a terrible movie.
Yeah.
There's many redeeming things.
So maybe it's like a almost thumbs down.
Yeah. I would give it like a C, if I was going to grade it.
Okay. I would probably give it a B.
I give it a C because of the excessive violence and brutality that went on forever.
That's what we do on this channel in general, right? We like to talk about things that you maybe have heard about, but not everyone has seen. In this case, I think a lot of people are going to see this movie. We thank you for watching this, and if you guys could please like and subscribe, we'd love to have you with us. All right, we will see you guys next time.
Bye.